Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on which part of the world you are. I am here in Sydney, Australia, and it's a really beautiful day today. So, welcome to the channel, and I hope you guys are doing great. Now, in this channel, I like to talk about religion, and we'll be talking about atheism. Now, one of the biggest difficulties, one of the biggest challenges that I faced when dealing with atheism is that where is the proof? Like we are theists. When I assert the position that there is God or there's a possibility of God, an atheist will come along and say, "Oh, where is your proof?" Now, this is the biggest challenge that I faced so far, and I will try to address this question, or at least partially, and then of course I will follow it up with a question that I don't think that atheists can answer. Now, where am I coming from? I was an atheist in the past, and I was deeply influenced by an author, Dr. Daniel Kahneman. He wrote a book, Thinking Fast and Slow, and that book influenced me so much. And that is how I started to be critical of atheism. So, what is the biggest takeaway? There are actually a couple of takeaways from that book, and one of the biggest takeaway from that book is confidence. When you are confident about something, the author suggests that you should be skeptic as to how you get to that position. How you get to that position. Now, it starts off with an experiment, gorilla experiment. Like this was two groups of players who are passing balls, and there are these participants, these viewers, who are given a task to count the passes. Now, when this counting is going on, when this task was going on, a gorilla comes into the scene and do the thumbs up and stays there for about 10 seconds. And half of the participants didn't notice that there was a gorilla in the scene. And obviously, like because of this, the author made a very famous statement, which probably will last with me for until I die. He says this: "You are blind to the obvious, that you haven't seen that there was a gorilla in the scene. You haven't seen the obvious, the gorilla. At least that was the case for half of the participants. And you are blind to the obvious, and you are blind to your blindness. You are blind to the fact that there's a possibility of a gorilla. You don't know that you don't know. You don't know that there could be a gorilla in the scene." So this was the biggest takeaway. Confidence. Confidence is a feeling. That is what the author suggested. That when you are confident about something, you are showing some feelings, and those feelings can be not quite right, can be at odds with the reality. So when an atheist is asserting the position that there is no possibility of God, at least this is a conviction. This is showing some form of emotion, feeling. And according to Daniel Kahneman, those feelings could be at odds with the reality. Now, obviously, later on when I started, like this was the shift in my thinking. Again, 10 years ago, I come across this idea that, okay, my thinkings could be wrong. Whatever that I have done, all of the things, is nothing but, like a living dream. It's nothing but some made up dreams. I'm living a dream. We are all living a dream. Is there a possibility that we're all living a dream? That is the question I want to ask. Now, much later on, obviously, I come across, like the books from Swami Vivekananda. He's an Indian philosopher. Now, I come across this notion called Maya. It says that, again, this is a Vedic idea. Again, I was introduced to this philosophy by Swami Vivekananda. All credit goes to him. So, Maya suggests that what is the duality? Like the reason you say that you are separate than the rest of the world is because you are veiled by Maya, you are veiled by illusion. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, chapter 11, verse 2 to 7, Krishna tells his disciple Arjuna that you cannot see. 2 to 7, chapter 11. That you cannot see Then Krishna gives Arjuna divine vision, that you behold my hundreds and thousands of wonderful forms in various shapes, sizes, and colors. Everything moving, non-moving. Within this universe, you behold in this universal form. That you see everything, the duality that you have, you see everything as different than you, is because you are veiled by Maya. Now, this idea totally blown me away. Of course, like I was introduced to it much later, and much earlier was Daniel Kahneman's book Thinking Fast and Slow. And Daniel Kahneman talks about a lot of things, like different types of biases that we have, different types of illusions. And those biases, those illusions, how they distort our thinking and how they distort what we call as consciousness, right? Again, if you study Swami Vivekananda's books, he talks about, like different types of consciousness. Like there are like, conscious. We say that we know something, and there is the level called subconscious. We are potentially may not be aware of the things that we know. And there is another level, super consciousness. Again, Swami Vivekananda's books, Bhagavad Gita, Hinduism. Super consciousness. Now, if you can reach that level, you will see that there is no duality. Now, how do you reach that level? Now, what you are calling as consciousness or reality is essentially based on your five senses. Your, like the taste, touch, visuals, all those things, your five senses is what constitute your reality, your consciousness. But if you read Advaita philosophy of oneness, again, it's a Vedic philosophy. If you read Advaita philosophy, you will come to the realization that there is another level, super consciousness. And that level cannot be reached with your five senses. Again, you bring up any dogma in the world, any doctrine, any dogma, whether it's Abrahamic faiths, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, even non-Abrahamic faiths, even the Indic faiths, the Buddhism, Jainism, you bring up any dogma in the world, you will not, as far as I am concerned, they haven't been able to address this question, that can reason and evidence and proof and reality exist beyond five senses? Is there a possibility? Any of these dogmas haven't addressed this question. You cannot bring me any document, again, as far as I am concerned, correct me if I am wrong. You bring up the evidence and I will succumb to your argument. At least that is the purpose of discussion, is to talk about different viewpoints. The only religion that addressed this question, that can reason and evidence and proof exist beyond five senses, the only religion that addressed this question is Hinduism. No other dogma, no other religion that I am concerned have even bothered to address this question. Is there a level that is to be called super consciousness that can go beyond five senses? That is the question I want to ask the atheists, because like atheism is all about reason and evidence, at least that is what they claim. But when you are coming from a position of conviction that God does not exist, what are you doing? You are essentially shutting down the possibility. You are essentially blocking off that possibility. You're shutting down the door, which is again in contradiction to your own position. Can reason and evidence and proof go beyond five senses? Are you deluded? Is there a possibility that we are all living a dream? Is there such a possibility? This is the question I want to ask the atheists, and if you're an atheist, please answer this question. I'd be very glad to be enlightened by your wisdom. Thank you for watching, and I will catch up with you on the next one. Bye for now.